Welcome to another Taco Tuesday here on Left Off the Map. One of the things I loved about Mexico when I was there is how intense in flavour the pulled meat dishes were, whether it was pork, beef, lamb, normally braised underground, almost like creating an oven in a hole where you put hot rocks on top of and everything cooks in there. So I'm going to try and recreate that flavour back here in Tasmania. I'm using the pulled meat spice mix from Old El Paso. I've got a secondary cut of beef. Try and get a secondary cut of beef that's big. You don't want it diced because then the meat doesn't really pull away like you want to. So I've got a big steak of gravy beef, or 2 steaks of gravy beef. So first thing I need to do is brown the beef and the onion and the garlic in the pan. And then I add, it's really easy, then I add some water and my pulled meat spice mix. I'm going to cook it in a pressure cooker just to speed the process up. But if you don't have one, you can just let it bubble away in a saute pan at home for about 2 hours. I'm going to serve it with some Mexican rice and some lime sour cream. So I've got some oil in my pan, heat on. I'll wait till that gets nice and hot so I get some good colour on top of my gravy beef. Cut my onion, my garlic, and all that goes in. My gravy beef is cooking away with the pulled meat spice mix. So now I'm going to prepare my rice. I've got half a capsicum, a couple of shallots and some garlic, which we'll pop into a fry pan and just start to saute off a little bit. They won't need too long, a couple of minutes. And then we can add the spice mix, our rice and our salsa and start to cook that down. The rice will take about 15 minutes to cook. By the time that's done, our gravy beef will be done and we'll have our lime cream ready to go and we can plate up. Pan on. We'll cook that for about 2 minutes and then we'll add our rice mix. Taken my lid off the pressure cooker and I'm just reducing that sauce down now. So that'll be about 5 minutes, which gives me just enough time to make my lime cream. Very simple, but is important, I think, for dishes like this, which are quite intense in flavour. Just helps break that up a bit. Sour cream, juice of a lime, probably juice of 2 limes. This, I want it to be nice and sharp. And then a pinch of salt, stir that, and it's almost like a dressing, like a cream, like thickened cream when it's at the consistency that you want it to be at. Okay, pinch of salt. Just bring that juice and that sour cream together. Once I've got that to the consistency of thickened cream, I'll chop some coriander, put some coriander through there, and our sauce will be reduced. My sauce has been reduced, my cream is made. I just want to pull my meat now. So take out the beef. Get yourself 2 forks. So you can see that sauce is nicely reduced. Just get 2 forks and pull your meat apart like that. This is what you can't really do if you get the diced gravy beef or a diced secondary cut. You can't really pull it like this, so you get the strands, the protein strands. which I think is probably the best way to have it. And you can shred it like this. A really good cut to do it with, if you can get your hands on beef cheek. A whole beef cheek, you probably use 2 whole beef cheeks, go through the same process. Beef cheek might take half an hour longer, but it's well worth the wait. Beef cheek is so good. It's got so much connective tissue in it and so much flavour. But once that sort of melts down and becomes shreddable, it's just insane how good it is. And you can keep, or if you wanted to, you could do like 4 cheeks and keep some of this beef for a taco or whatever you wanted to put it into. So it's gonna take you 2.5 hours anyway. You might as well do a lot of it so you don't have to go through that process again. All right, so all of your shredded beef just goes back into your sauce now. Mix it all together and we're ready to plate up. So rice down first, beef on top, and then our cream on top of that. There it is, pulled meat with Mexican rice. Very tasty, really intense. That cream on top really cuts through that richness and makes it absolutely beautiful. Let's head off now and see what Holly's up to.
Today, I'm going to be sharing a little bit about myself and the family business that I have grown up in. My family have a brand called Smitten Merino, which is merino wool clothing. And since I was a little girl, I have been growing up surrounded by this merino wool fashion. I'm here with my mum, who is the designer extraordinaire, photographer, everything really, a stylist. And I've been really lucky to be part of this incredible Tasmanian business, learnt so much, wear it all the time, model for it, and meet lots of incredible Tasmanians. So, Mum, how on earth did you come up with the idea, the plan to have this Tassie business? We're not even from here, so...
We're not even from here. We moved here in the year 2000, you probably remember, and a few years after that we realised we wanted to have a local Tasmanian business of some description, and I'd always loved sewing. Carl loved wool, your daddy, so we just we saw all the sheep on the Midlands and we were like, wow, is there a Tasmanian wool brand? And there wasn't. We got started.
Because you've always been very into fashion.
I love
made my clothes all the time. The photos are quite hilarious. So some of the outfits, the bloomers.
The bodies. I know.
So you've always wanted to do something like this.
I've always loved fashion and I always loved designing, always loved sewing my own stuff. So it's been an amazing, lucky creation of all my dreams come together.
Merino wool really is the most incredible fibre. We have our spiel that we say over and over again now, but moving here, we were freezing from WA and couldn't wear any wool, and my sister and I both got really bad eczema, and wool was something we could wear. It is pretty incredible, and I think we were both surprised about how amazing this fibre could be. We're only used to the itchy stuff.
Exactly. I think we all grew up with the old-fashioned wool, and it was thick and it was a coarse micron, and we're using the Tasmanian, as much as possible, super fine merino, which is a really fine micron, which you can wrap your baby in and you can sleep in, and it helps, heal your eczema, which we found with you girls, which has been amazing.
And your designs, what I love and what so many people love is the timeless classic styles that you're kind of renowned for.
That's what I like to do, is keep it really simple and just classic, I suppose. Basics, things that people can put their own signature on, put their own jewellery, colours and wear for 5 years, hopefully.
Because merino wool fashion items weren't really a thing, were they?
Well, I think Coco Chanel back in the day, her little suits were a thing, but they were a woven wool, but this stretch jersey fashion hasn't really been a thing so much. So it's been exciting to kind of break new ground, I suppose, with that. Yeah.
And what I've always found really, really quite interesting, especially growing up in this business, is you guys basically have decided to do everything the hardest way possible. You wanted to get it made locally in a world where no one made things locally. You wanted to stick to every single moral, sustainable, ethical, and it's been really incredible because that's obviously now the ultimate kind of achievement in business, and that was your goal from the very beginning. Why was that?
I think we'd moved to this island and the island had been great for us, and we loved the people and the warmth and the friendliness, and we saw the sheep and knew some of the farmers, and we thought really nice to give something back and to create a business that is good for Tassie, good for us, good for the farmers, good for the sheep, and try and do something that's generous, I suppose, and part of the island ethos. I mean, it feels like a lot of businesses here are look after each other, and we wanted to do that too.
So we're right here in Hobart and have this magnificent Smitten HQ, this headquarters that people can come and have the ultimate shopping experience, all the clothes on display.
We feel so lucky. It's such a perfect spot to be. Salamaker Markets is literally a 2-minute walk down the road. We obviously have our market down there that you're wonderfully part of.
Favourite bakery around the corner as well.
Exactly, beautiful bakery down the road. It's a 2-minute walk from the centre of Hobart, so it's an amazing spot. And when we got it, I was like, wow. It just was an office, but now it's a great boutique.
It's also a beautiful little suburb.
It's a
Iconic.
fantastic suburb.
Yeah.
Battery Point is just
Right in the heart of the city, basically.
And we want, when people come here, for it to be a memorable thing. We want the husbands and wives to both have a great time. So we realised one day we needed to have a little spot for the husbands who were a little bit bored, who'd flown in maybe from Melbourne or Sydney, and they could sit down quietly and just have a nice time, as well as the wives who are trying everything on. And so we've got this lovely leather couch and some local whiskey and Irish cream that they can have a little taste of while they're here. And that seems to work very well. Yeah, does it? It does.
And what's really special is where it's manufactured in Sprayton is just down the road from where Ben shoots all his delicious recipes. So
It's
so
amazing.
Tassie, really.
Exactly. And that is the beautiful thing about all the Tassie businesses, that exactly, and they support each other. It's lovely. And that's just kind of down the road from us. Well, 3 hours, but you know, you can't get much better than having manufactured just down the road.
Absolutely. And that's what you found as well. Obviously, when you first started, you worked for tourism and you met lots of other magnificent Tasmanian businesses, and that's what inspired you to want to start also something of your own.
Yeah, it's true. I met some great people that you're probably meeting now as well, and it does inspire you. You think, wow, if they can do it, maybe I can do it too. And yeah, you can achieve your dreams.
Seeing you guys build your own business was such good inspiration for me, and then did inspire me to start my own merino wool hat business, which is,
We love your merino wool hats, and I mean, ever since we've done the modelling, we've always had hats, and now it's so great that they're your hats, and we sell them in the boutique, and we sell them on our website, and they are so beautiful. They're so squashable. They're such gorgeous colours, and we're so proud of you.
Oh,
for
thank
going
you.
ahead, and they do finish off a merino wool outfit, head to toe.
Yeah, they work well for the photo shoots, for everything that we do. I love that we
Exactly.
can combine our two businesses together.
Same. It's beautiful. Very lucky.
Well, 14 years on, it's been really impressive and quite incredible watching this business grow and being a part of it. And you inspire me so much, and I'm really proud. And yeah, thank you for every opportunity you've given me and for creating such an amazing thing for Tassie.
Oh, thank you. It's been very nice to be able to dress you literally in the holly dress and have you for all our photos, and your sister. We're very lucky.
Good.
Well, Smitten is a brand that everyone in here Tasmania knows, loves and absolutely trusts. My wife has plenty of Smitten clothing. All right, sticky date pudding cake. I'm going to make basically a sticky date pudding in size of a cake, and then make the caramel sauce to go over the top. All right, first thing, the actual dates. So I've got a cup of dates, and I need a cup of water. On top of my dates. Pop that onto the boil. Basically, I want to bring that to the boil, let it simmer until the dates are really soft. So we're rehydrating the dates so that they can be whizzed up as part of the other or the rest of the batter. So we'll give that 10 minutes. The water in there will reduce a little bit because it's going to steam, we're going to create bubbles, but most of it is actually, it's going to look like it's gone, but most of it's going to go into plumping the dates up. Once that's done, I'll turn the heat off and throw my butter in to melt that in there with the dates. Then that will go into our food processor. And then it's a really simple recipe. Basically everything else goes in and we process it all together to mix those dates through the batter, and then it goes into the oven. I'm going to make a caramel sauce to go with it though. So I'm going to use about 150 mils of cream, maybe a little bit more, with some brown sugar, and make a caramel sauce to go on top of our cake. I'm trying to think whether I'll keep the caramel sauce to the side and have it be one you can pour on when you cut yourself a piece of cake, or whether I'll stab a lot of holes in the cake while it's hot and pour the caramel sauce on top and sort of let it seep in. I'll make my mind up when we get closer to the end. You can see how the colour and the consistency of that date mixture changed as soon as we added the bicarb. So that's the aerating process of the bicarb mixing with moisture. We're also going to use baking powder to try and help aerate a pretty dense cake with all those dates in there. All right, so sugar goes in now. Brown sugar, about 3/4 of a cup. 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. 2 eggs. And I need a cup of plain flour. Why plain flour? Because that way you can control the amount of raising agent that you actually have. So self-raising flour has a raising agent in it already. Because I'm adding 2 raising agents, I don't want another one. So that's why we go for plain flour in most baking things, unless you're making something like scones and you don't want to add anything to it, you just want to rely on what's there. All right, so I need 1 cup plain flour. And the baking powder is designed, the catalyst for it to go through the process it needs to go through to create the little bubbles which aerate our cake. They happen when it's added to heat, so that'll happen when it goes in the oven. Lid on. That's done. So I've got a shallow cake tray, which I like. I think it's because I enjoy the sauce so much. I like the ratio from the caramel sauce to the cake to be quite more caramel sauce, less cake. So I've got a sort of a shallow baking tray. So our cake's only going to be like a slab more so than a really big cake. So I need to put some baking paper in there, and then my batter goes on top into the oven, 160 degrees, for about 35 minutes. Because it's such a shallow cake, we're probably going to get away with a much quicker cooking time than a normal cake. So about 35 minutes. While our cake is in the oven, I can get on to making my caramel sauce. And because my caramel sauce isn't like a normal caramel that's going to set, I can make it ahead of time. So I need some sugar. I've probably got about half a cup of brown sugar there, which is kind of, brown sugar's pretty much already been caramelized, so we don't have to go through the normal process that you do with white sugar, where we take it from white sugar, caramelize it, then pour cream on top to stop that process and caramelize the cream, blah, blah, blah. This is the easy way to make caramel sauce. So pot on, brown sugar in, a little bit of butter, just to help it melt. So maybe 20 grams of butter. We're going to melt the butter and the sugar together. We're going to wait until, the same sort of thing, you wait until it gets, not really hot's the wrong word. Wait until the bubbles in the caramel start to get small, is basically the best way to describe it. Okay, so we've probably got 3 or 4 minutes till our sugar dissolves and we can add in our cream. Caramel sauce is done. Like I said, that can just sit now. I'll put a pinch of salt in there at the end. The cake's probably got another 15 minutes to go. Like I said, I'm going to serve it with the sauce on the side. And you can just pour the sauce over each slice as you cut it, and you can have that fresh sauce over the top as you go. We're going to finish off today's episode with a KitchenAid tutorial looking at your attachments and the best way to care for them. Some of them, like these three here, have a coating on the outside, which means you can put those in the dishwasher and they're going to be absolutely fine. Warm soapy water, I think, is always the best way to go, but they can go in the dishwasher and they'll be fine. This one here, if you put this in the dishwasher, it's going to start to develop a black coating on the outside. So this is a warm soapy water wash. But if you have been putting it in the dishwasher and you have started to develop that black coating on the outside, which gets on your fingers and can get on your food, the best way to get rid of it, just get a pot, boiling water with some vinegar, just some apple cider vinegar or white vinegar in there. Let this boil away in that solution of water and white vinegar. Take it out and that should all just come off. One other tip, a damp tea towel. If you're working with dry ingredients like dry flour or something like that, and you've got a damp tea towel, if you pop a damp tea towel over the top, it has to be damp. If you just put a dry tea towel over there, you're still going to get that big of flour, and it's still going to make its way out. If it's a damp tea towel, the flour hits the damp or the moisture in the tea towel and stops completely. So some great tips there for caring for your attachments and a great way to get around that sort of flour bomb you create sometimes when you're using your KitchenAid with dry ingredients. Hope you learned something, and we'll see you again next time on Left Off the Map.